able to see the screen? Okay. So
Yes.
actually everything is told, okay, like, so we have discussed about each and every branch coming from brachial plexus. Okay. So where did we stop? It was here, right? See, like the branches
Ma'am,
coming from posterior cord, right? So what is the
ma'am,
code we have? Yes, beta.
accept me, ma'am, please.
Yeah, but I didn't receive yet. As soon as I get, I will definitely accept.
You got it, ma'am. Here it's showing that you got.
I didn't. It's not showing here yet, beta.
Okay.
We just I am Galaxy. Got it.
Yes.
See, from the posterior cord, we have these. What is the code? ULNAR, ulnar, isn't it? Upper subscapular, lower subscapular, nerve to latissimus dorsi, axillary nerve, and radial nerve. Okay. So upper subscapular supplies which muscle? Subscapularis. Lower subscapular also supplies the subscapularis from the name. Along with that, it also supplies teres major. Nerve to latissimus dorsi is also called as thoracodorsal nerve. Axillary nerve, this itself can be a 3 marks question. What is the what are the muscles supplied by axillary nerve? This was asked as a very short note. So it is supplying deltoid and teres minor. Okay. Radial nerve supplies all extensors of arm, forearm, and the dorsum of hand. Everything. Okay. So we have extensor compartment of arm, triceps, extensor compartment of forearm. We have many muscles like extensor digitorum, extensor carpi radialis longus, brevis. So many we will study. So you just remember extensor compartment is completely supplied by radial nerve. Okay, that is. So applied aspects are anyhow nerve wise also I will be sharing you the applied aspects. Nothing to worry. Okay. This chapter has been done yesterday, and just because in this chapter itself we have brachial plexus. This I have explained you yesterday, right? We have done axillary artery. We have done boundaries of axilla. So this one beta. See brachial plexus. See this is from Chaurasia. So I have explained you so nicely. It has roots, trunks, divisions, cords, and branches. So prefix, postfix also I have discussed. Then see root value of each nerve I want you to remember. That is very important. Nerve to serratus anterior, C5, C6, C7. Okay, nerve to rhomboid C5. Okay, like the suprascapular. Root value is very, very important. Okay, for everything, try to remember the root value. And you can practice this picture. It is so beautiful. Whether it is Chaurasia or Vishram Singh, we have these pictures only. For roots, blue color is used. No? For trunks, orange color is used. These are C5, C6 roots, upper trunk. Then each trunk anterior division. Actually, two colors should have been used for anterior and posterior trunk. Separately, as we saw in our previous PowerPoint, blue and red was used. Like that, you can plan two different colors. Anterior, one color, posterior, all three posteriors are joining to form posterior. You can just give one pink color over here. Okay. That is. Now coming to clinical anatomy. So suppose if there is if this is C5 root and C6 roots upper, like joining point, you call it as upper trunk. 6 nerves meeting point, if it is damaged, then it leads to a type of paralysis which is called as Erb's paralysis. And this point, what are the 6 nerves meeting point? We have upper trunk, like C5 root is there, C6 root is there, nerve to subclavius, suprascapular. Okay, and from the upper trunk we have anterior division and posterior division. Count it: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 nerves meeting point is called as Erb's point. Erb's palsy itself can be a 3 marks or 5 marks question. Okay, you need to draw this picture. Okay, this picture is nothing but this point beta. Okay, here we are taking. Okay, so that is. This point is Erb's point, and if there is any, like when the person is falling on outstretched hand, and if there is any damage in the upper trunk, then whatever nerves are coming which are having the root value of C5, C6, they will be damaged. So we have musculocutaneous nerve, isn't it? So we know musculocutaneous nerve is supplying the anterior compartment of arm, biceps brachii, brachialis, isn't it? And coracobrachialis. So those muscles are actually coracobrachialis is receiving its supply higher up. That's the reason it's not paralyzed. But other muscles like biceps, deltoid, brachialis, and brachioradialis. Partly supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and supinator. You should give the list of muscles which are paralyzed if this upper trunk, six nerves meeting point is damaged. This deformity will be something like you will see the twisting of hand outwards, okay, which is called as policeman's stick hand. Okay, it is something like this button. Okay, Erb's palsy. Now there is, suppose if there is a damage to lower trunk, I'll show you. See this one here. Okay, if you find the damage, then that paralysis is called as clump case paralysis, lower trunk of brachial plexus. That means C8 and T1 nerve roots. So we know from there major nerve which is 4M, U is nothing but ulnar nerve. And I told you ulnar nerve is supplying chiefly the intrinsic muscles of palm. It is musician's nerve. So that is lost, that is gone. So intrinsic muscles of hand, ulnar flexors of wrist and fingers. There may be Horner syndrome because I told you in Horner, actually I told you the brachial plexus also has connections with sympathetic chain, isn't it? So gray and white rami communicants through which it will be supplying the blood vessels, it will be supplying the sweat glands also. Okay, because of which, because now this lower trunk is damaged, basically it is damaging the ulnar nerve muscles which are supplied by ulnar nerve are getting paralyzed. That's the reason muscles of palm are paralyzed, ulnar flexors of wrist and fingers are paralyzed. In Horner syndrome, there will be drooping of upper eyelid. Okay, meiosis is the dilatation of pupil. There will not be any sweating because the sweat glands will not get the stimulation because that's, I told you it has, brachial plexus has communication through the sympathetic chain. Okay, that means vasoconstriction and dilatation is being controlled by brachial plexus also. Anophthalmos is, exophthalmos we see with goiter, no? Quite opposite to it, protrusion of eyeballs outside, you call it as exophthalmos. If it is being pulled inside the orbit, then you call it as anophthalmos. Okay, vasomotor changes means that there will be permanent dilatation of blood vessels of the skin of the arm, forearm, because of which when you touch the area of the skin anywhere, they will feel hot because of the dilatation. You call this as vasomotor changes. Trophic means local changes. The skin also becomes little dry, rough and scaly. Okay, so these are the changes we find in clump case paralysis. Okay. So claw hand. When do we see claw hand? See, this we will discuss again when we are discussing ulnar nerve and median nerve. Partial claw hand will be there, complete claw hand will be there. Okay, this basically 90% of the times claw hand is, we call, it is caused due to the injury to ulnar nerve. Okay, long thoracic nerve, that is nerve to serratus anterior, it will be supplying the serratus anterior muscle. Suppose if long thoracic nerve is damaged, then you will see the medial border of scapula becomes very prominent, which is called winging of scapula. Winging of scapula. This itself can be a 3-mark question. Okay, what is winging of scapula? Okay, damage or injury to the nerve to serratus anterior. When you ask the patient to just give support on the wall, and when you just ask him to stand like this, you will see the medial border of the scapula will be protruding outside. It becomes more prominent. Okay, that's what is nothing but winging of scapula. Okay, so that's all, beta. So we will meet tomorrow with another lecture of upper limb. Okay, so keep studying.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.